rock climbing. I went rock climbing at Val David. It was actually pretty fun. We went to this instructor. She's only 22 years old, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah, I used my hands a lot. Thanks. Bye.
I did my story on Terry Ryan. He's the only rookie on the Canadian hockey team, and he's from Newfoundland, and he's living in Montreal now, and we went to go talk to him.
I did a story on a senior cadet and found out it was not about war, it's about life.
I did a story on a 15-year-old girl named Shira, and her and her family basically are Rocket Rabbit Up. She goes to concerts afterwards and gets leftover food from backstage where they've had big parties and gives it basically to people who need it.
Well, I also did a story on Wicca. As you all know, it's Halloween coming up, so we went to talk to some real witches about what it's like to practice witchcraft and paganism and see what this holiday means to them.
We did a story on jaywalking, and this is definitely something that I find important, and we just talked to a bunch of people to see how they felt about it.
Well, we're standing here in the empty Molson Center. This is the place where the Canadians play, and we all know the Canadians are the most winningest team in sports history. It's almost every kid's dream to come play here, and we're going to talk to a 19-year-old who made that dream come true.
Watch out. He's buzzing around now. Recchi, quick centering pass, scores! It was Ryan who got the goal.
It was unreal. Actually, last year, a year ago, I played 2 exhibition games, and one was at the Forum. It was an experience.
It was Ryan.
What does it feel like to be sitting here and knowing you're going to be playing on that ice?
For a kid like me, especially being from Newfoundland, where you know, basically everybody's either a Montreal or Toronto fan, it's a big thrill, and to be playing for, you know, the biggest tradition in hockey is definitely another great feeling. So I'm pretty happy, and like I say, I'm still shocked.
Did you always want to be a hockey player ever from the time you were little?
Yeah, I think you know, when you're really young, I think everybody does. But when I was 13, 14, I realized that probably I had a shot.
What was it like at 14, leaving home and moving to the other side of the country?
It was actually, I didn't want to do it at first, but
I
had some. It was totally for hockey. I mean, it was either play bantam hockey in Newfoundland or go play junior hockey in BC. I went to BC at the time, and you know, I didn't want to go and leave home. But my father, he was a second-round pick with Minnesota North Stars. And, you know, we got on the plane, and I started crying. I went to get off, but he said, hey, we can get off right now, but, you know, you're probably going to kick yourself in 10 years, so.
So you're living on your own, you're doing your own laundry, you're making your own food. Have there been any catastrophes where your laundry's all turned pink, or?
It wasn't so much, you know, everything turning a different color. It was, I shrunk all my clothes. That's a true story. I mean, I went to do the laundry. I figured, how hard can it be, you know, and I went in there, and it's like, you know, it's kids 6X.
Any cooking disasters, or?
My specialty is craft dinner, so, I mean, you can't get too disastrous with that. You know, everybody asks what's the biggest transition, and, you know, they expect to say, well, the skating or the strength, but I think one of the biggest is definitely off the ice. Oh, here we go. That was your chance.
I'm going to get one in this time.
We're playing for money now? Don't tell me that.
How does this relate to real hockey?
It doesn't really relate to hockey. The net, that's the only thing that's the same. Holy cow.
First goal this time! Are you always perfecting your skills? Because people watch hockey players on TV and think, oh, they're perfect. They never have to, you know, practice their skills and, you know.
People don't know the half of it then. I mean, it's the opposite of what people think, really. Look at a guy like Gretzky, who's probably the best player who ever lived. I mean, every night, you know, after every practice, he's out there working on his shot, working on, you know, speed and things like that, so I don't think you can ever stop working. I mean, especially when you get to this level.
There
we go.
He's willing and quite able to be a good physical player, and he's not afraid of that, and I think they like his attitude for a young player.
Do you find that the management tries to help you deal with the media? How do they prep you to deal with everything?
You know, a lot of people think they tell you what to say, and, you know, all those hockey, sports, whatever, cliches, you know, but it's not the case at all. I think they just, you know, they just kind of help out. You know, obviously you're not going to say something really stupid. I mean, they...
Have you been recognized in Montreal?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that the other day. Myself and Darcy Tucker were walking down St. Catherine Street, and, you know, a bunch of people came over and got our autographs and stuff, and even, you know, invited us to their house for dinner, if you can believe that. And it was pretty, you know, shocking at first, but then, you know, you think about it. I mean, this is the, you know, the hockey capital of the universe. I mean, so if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen here.
What did you do with when you knew you'd be getting a paycheck? What did you go out and buy?
I bought a new Camaro, and I bought my, oh yeah, right away. And I bought my parents a Jeep Cherokee and, you know, a TV and the stereo and stuff for their living room and things like that. And I try to take care of my parents as much as I can because they've helped me so much along the way.
It was Ryan who got the goal.
Recently, this city's been trying to stamp out jaywalking. We had a chance to talk to some people, and something tells me it's not happening.
I think there are just too many people that do it for it to be completely outlawed.
You're walking along, if there are no cars, I don't see what the big problem is. You just cross the road.
As a driver, how do you feel about jaywalkers?
Well, honestly, it doesn't really bother me because when I'm the one walking, I'm doing the same thing.
I jaywalk sometime, but we have to be careful and try to respect the bylaw.
Well, I have never myself been hit by a car or seen anyone else being hit by a car in the street, so I think it's basically all good.
If my friends are crossing the road and they're jaywalking, then I'll jaywalk, but usually I'll wait for the light. The lights are too long to wait for. It's a hassle.
I jaywalk every single time I cross the street, actually, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Well, I'm in Val David right now, and it's 8:30 in the morning, and it's really cold. But I just rented my shoes. I'm going rock climbing today, and it looks like it's going to be an adventure. Are there a lot of teenagers that rock climb?
There's a lot of teenagers, yeah. I think from 15 to 40, this is maybe the age that there isn't more. The first time you all climb? On a fait une fois. At the school where I work, a 2-day course. In 2 days, you can learn to be to climb by your own, like to set the anchors, to fix the ropes. Next step is to take the long strap to learn all the techniques of security and all that. And in 2 days, you're able to go by yourself.
It seems kind of hard. So is all your stuff on and everything?
I think so.
Hopefully.
In climbing, you have to always do things the more perfect you can. Okay, because climbing is a sport where there is risk.
Okay, now instead of going in like that, like a regular knot. No, that's wrong. Because instead of doing it like that, like a no. Oh, idiot. All right.
If you do the nuts the best way you can, and if you belay, it means if the person that holds the climber do it the right way, and if all those steps are doing perfectly, the risks are very low.
Off to the great beyond.
Often people are coming here and when they see the cliff, they say, oh my God, it's not possible. But as soon as you're on the rock, you discover holes and you discover a lot of things.
I'm just trying to find a proper foothold right now. Now there's no handhold.
They come here, they're a little bit scared, they don't know what to expect, and I like to explain them that it's normal to be afraid a little bit.
This might not be a good time to mention it, but I'm afraid of heights. I'm not falling anymore. There we go. That's about as good. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. So how's Val David, like this area here, how's this for rock climbing?
Very popular. It's getting more and more popular. I think it's one of the best spots in Quebec.
It's kind of weird. It's like one of those David Copperfield magic tricks, right? You're walking up against the side of the wall or something.
I'm glad to be alive.
So how much would it cost for something like this?
Well, if you want to experience the climbing like you did today, it's $60 for a day. And if you want to take the weekend, it's double.
I'm getting down now.
Hey, congratulations!
There we go. What did you think when you were up there? Was it a bit scary or?
Almost for the entire climb it was okay, but there's one part up there where there's no foothold, and it was quite It was scary a little bit.
I was surprised. I really enjoyed it.
So do you guys think you'll come back again sometime to come rock climbing?
Sure.
For sure?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If you are going to go rock climbing, make sure that you take a course first, because it is a really dangerous sport, and we don't want you to go out and kill yourselves. As for the rest of the group, they're going to continue for the rest of the day. And I've got to go, though, because I've got a really big wedgie up my butt right now.
I'm going to be chilling with you today.
All right, sounds good.
You want to show me around your school?
Sure, we better get going, though. Training starts 15 minutes.
So what got you involved in Cadets?
Well, when I was younger, friends of the family, their son was in Cadets, and he's the one that got me interested, and I always liked the military, so as soon as I was old enough, I enrolled.
Good morning, everyone. Are we all up and ready to go?
There's 3 aims to the Cadet Corps. One of them is to promote good citizenship within the kids that are here. The other one is to promote physical fitness through sporting games and sporting competitions. And finally, to stimulate an interest in the armed forces if that interest is there for them.
We have a variety of programs, military drill, in which we teach discipline and respect, hard work. We wear a uniform, so it's another part of discipline. Hey there, Corporal.
Day one.
How are you this morning, Corporal?
Fine, yourself, one. I watched the inspection today, and I noticed that you guys are pretty picky on the clothes.
Right, berets form good haircut, but right on the front you're going to see you have a lint. Here. Okay, you got to get rid of that. We don't do it just to be picky, just out of spite. We have the military standards and regulations for dress and uniform to follow.
Is the Cadets a training ground for people who want to go into the Army?
No, it's not a training ground for that purpose. All the courses that we're teaching them are military-based, and they will learn them again if they wanted to go armed forces, but the purpose is definitely not to train them to go to the armed forces.
As soon as I got into it, I learned that it builds character and discipline. Plus, you don't have to pay for it, and you get to do a lot of charity work and lots of fun stuff.
All right, so here we are, Jared.
Yeah,
ready to do some 10?
Always, we're gonna kill this one.
All right, let's do it. There's shooting courses. There are also shooting programs, sports programs. So it's a wide variety of different aspects that are all thrown in together to train us.
Fire when ready. Tirez quand vous serez prêt.
When I first joined, you're just 12, 13 or whatever, and not all your friends are doing it, so it does seem a bit awkward. But over the years, I've learned that it just doesn't really bother me.
Now that's a 10, which is what you're here to do. Nice job.
Thanks.
So Jared, how'd you like it?
My arm is completely numb. It felt like, I don't know, it's pretty heavy and it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. Can you get paid at the Cadets?
Yeah, if you do a summer camp in the summer, you can get paid anywhere between $120 and $1,600.
They need to be 12 years old with parental consent. They need a parent signature when they come on. And other than that, just a strong interest and a desire to come out and do the activities. They can go to Germany, they can go to Australia on different exchange programs. So they can go pretty much across the world depending on what they want to do.
What do you like about the Cadets?
I like the challenge. I like going away on weekend exercises, going into the bush, basically.
CC 1979, C2 best.
Thanks. I really had a good time, and it was a great experience, and I think that these Cadet Corps will help kids in their community.
All right, well, thanks for coming out, and maybe we'll see you next week in the bush.
All right, take it easy. It was nice meeting you.
All right, you too.
Yeah.
Is at a rock concert. We're backstage, there's a big catered party, and almost none of the food gets eaten, and then it gets thrown in the garbage. Well, that's what Rock and Wrap It Up is about. And Shira and her family here in Montreal are basically the ones that do it.
It started off as an idea by this man in New York named Sid Manzelbaum. He realized that when bands come to perform, that the cast and crew has to eat. So there was all this catered food, and he'd ask if he could pick it up and give it to a shelter.
So how did you get involved in doing this?
My parents actually were involved first because Sid Mandelbaum lives in New York and he's friends with my grandmother. So he introduced my mom to him, and because she lives in Canada, he wanted to branch out. And she started doing it here with my dad. And then I just kind of got involved. Like when she couldn't come, I would come. And so now I just started coming.
But just so you know, we don't get to meet the band. We don't get to go to the concerts. It's just backstage, which sounds really cool. Benevolent. Actually, it is. It's just cool to say, oh yeah, this food is from Hootie and the Blowfish. So, do the performers who you pick up from, do they know about the project?
Some do, some don't. Some have specifically asked for us to pick up their food, or the production company who brings them in ask them, would you like to give your food to this donation? They tell us all about it.
Thank you very much.
So basically this was all cooked for the cast and crew of Hootie and the Blowfish, and whatever they didn't finish, we brought here to the Old Brewery Mission.
How significant is like a donation like this, of this size?
Well, donations are very significant because, you know, we're hard-pressed during our campaign drive and so on, so every little bit helps. We serve hundreds and hundreds of people a day, so. The fruits I can send, there's roughly about 30 of them or something like that. I think I'll send them off right away to the women's shelter because they can house about 30 people. The potatoes, it's about the same. The fruit, you know, the bread will go right away. The salad will be used for lunch tomorrow. We use it up as soon as we get it. We don't, nothing goes to waste. At night time for supper, we'll feed, particularly at the end of the month, between 300 to 400 people within an hour.
Is this a lot of food for a pickup?
For us, it's average. We've had anywhere from like 80 pounds to just a couple of boxes. So for us, it's average. In New York, they just picked up from the MTV Video Awards, and they got over 6,000 pounds of food. I guess, like, people always say it's better too much than too little, but I mean, all this food would have just gone to waste, and here it's going to good use.
Do you like doing it?
I love doing it. I think it's good for me, and I think it's good for everyone involved.
What about, like, emotionally? Like, how does it feel for you to come here or to work with people who aren't in the best of situations?
It's hard seeing it, but it's out there. So it's something that you can't just really ignore because it's all around you. So it's something that you just have to face, and you say, look, there are people like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. You can help them out, you know. I worked with the Caldwell residency. They have a program there called the Adopt a Grandparent program, and I visited a lady once a week. Whenever she would see me, she'd get so happy, and it'd make me feel so good because she had no other family.
Do you think you might be a bit of an idealist?
It's not trying to change the world, but if one person does one thing, it's better than nobody doing anything. And I'd rather do one thing that makes some kind of an impact than doing nothing at all.
Everyone remembers the pagans on Halloween.
But just try to stay out of my way. Just try. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
These days, if you're looking for a witch with green skin and who rides around on a broom, try looking over the rainbow, or at least at your local video store. But if you're looking for a witch who looks just like you, try starting in your own neighborhood. After centuries of misunderstanding, followers of the ancient religion, or Wicca, have started to come out of the broom closet.
It's always good to purify our mind and body and spirit of any impurities and just cleanse ourselves. It helps.
Is that sage?
This is sage, Native American tradition, and this just kind of sets you in the right space for doing ritual. Invoke the east, the air, the brilliance of the mind. Invoke the south, invoke the waters and the west, our emotions and clarity.
And that's what you do to start the ritual?
Yeah, you always invoke the 4 directions and the center, because you're basically trying to create a microcosm of the universe and have all the elements present so you can create your own reality here. It will help to create it in the greater world.
What are the origins of Wicca? Where did that all start?
It was more or less the first religion, kind of has its roots in shamanism and date back to about 35,000 years ago. Wicca is an Anglo-Saxon word that means to bend or shape. So basically you're bending or shaping reality to help your magic come to be.
What advice could you give to a teenager who's just sort of discovering paganism and Wicca and they're not really sure where to start?
I would really recommend that they find some guidance, either in a mentor or a teacher, and there is a lot of people in Montreal practicing, and if you have the desire, the teacher will come.
This one here, Fire Bluff. How do I use it?
Well, you would use it by sprinkle it on yourself, okay, or you take a piece of parchment paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't worship the devil. We worship the goddess and our god. And the god has horns, but not horns of a demon or a goat, but more of a stag or a ram. And that's how the church in the Middle Ages twisted the religion into something that it's not. Movies, sometimes like The Craft, are a little misleading, not dangerous, but more misleading, where they showed people invoking the elements and lightning and walking on water. If I could walk on water, if I could fly, I would never be late for work. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way.
We all have that divine goddess, God within us, and that if you're searching outside of yourself, you're not going to find it until you find it first within. It's sort of like of your intuition. If you can listen to that voice and always follow it, then you're, in fact, kind of working along magical lines.
That's it for BuzZone. Hope you enjoyed the show.